A pleasant morning to everyone. On behalf of Assistant Secretary Dominic Rubia Tutay, we would like to thank the Department of Education, Bureau of Curriculum Development, for the invitation in this National Orientation and Career Guidance Program for 2021 to 2022. My discussion will focus on the dynamic changes in the labor market, the trends shaping the future of jobs, and the Career Guidance Advocacy Program, or CGAP. The lingering pandemic has brought our economies to its knees, with the country coming up under a recession for the first time since 1998 in Q1 of 2020. As we know, community quarantines were imposed since last year, with the rapid increase in the number of COVID-19 cases, thus shutting down 75% of the economy to save lives and protect communities from the virus. This came at a huge cost to the economy and the people, as we recorded a negative 17% GDP growth in the second quarter of 2020, the steepest decline since World War II. As the government safely and gradually opened up the economy, GDP growth steadily improved, with the country finally exiting the recession last quarter, growing by 11.8%, the fastest in over 3 decades. While this is a significant improvement, our country is still far from its pre-pandemic potentials. Employment was likewise negatively affected by interruptions in economic activities. Last year, we registered record highs and lows in our key employment indicators, with employment rate at 89.7% and underemployment at 10.3%, based on the average of the 4 labor force surveys conducted. This is the lowest and the highest, respectively, since 2005. While we are seeing clear signs of the economy's recovery this year, the imposition of community quarantines in varying degrees throughout the year caused ups and downs in our employment statistics. The results of the latest labor force survey in July 2021 placed the country's employment rate at 93.1, the highest since pandemic's onset in April 2020. At 6.9%, we also recorded our lowest unemployment rate since April last year. However, underemployment has climbed to 20.9%, the highest since pandemic. In 2020, the International Labour Organization published the COVID-19 labor market impact in the Philippines and validated that the pandemic's impact was manifested through a spike in the unemployment rate, a fall in labor force participation rate, a significant reduction in working hours, a large swell in the fraction of workers who are currently employed but are absent from work. The same report classified sectors based on their risk of job disruption. For the high risk, we have manufacturing, transportation and storage, accommodation and food service activities, arts, entertainment and recreation, and tourism. Job in the sectors related to utilities, water supply and waste management activities, construction, wholesale and retail trade, information and communication, financial and insurance activities, real estate activities, and professional and scientific services are considered medium risk. Agriculture, forestry and fishing, public administration and defense, including compulsory social security, education and human health, and social work activities are at the low risk. Impact on sectors and occupations were indeed two-tiered. First, with the disruption brought about by the pandemic, and the digital transformation, particularly the disruptive digitalization, which replaces human labor, which has started even prior to the global health crisis. Already prior the COVID-19 pandemic, young people have been at the forefront of calls for a longer-term perspective in terms of policy making and psychosocial protection. According to ILO, the COVID-19 crisis has resulted in multiple shocks that can disproportionately impact young people, including disruptions in education and training, employment and earnings, and increased job search constraints. These shocks mark today's youth as a lockdown generation and underscores the possibility that the pandemic could hollow out future labor market prospects of the young. Low-paid and temporary employment in sectors most severely affected by the crisis, such as restaurants, hotels, and gig industry, are often held by young people who are now facing a higher risk of job and income loss. Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development echoes the same concern, stating that the disruption in their access to education and employment opportunities as a result of economic downturn is likely to put the young generation on a much more volatile trajectory in finding and maintaining quality jobs and income. Last year, the dollar released the JobsFit COVID-19 LMI report, which presented the labor market landscape, discussed the impact of COVID-19 on employment, and described the future of labor market under the new normal. Among its findings on the top 10 industries with the highest number of vacancies during the pandemic, based on the data from 3 job boards such as PhilJobNet, JobStreet, and Workbank, BPO, ICT, manufacturing, financial intermediation, sales, retail, and medical and healthcare remained the top industries during the pandemic. For the top 10 occupations with the highest number of vacancies during the pandemic, we find occupations such as teacher, engineer, administrative assistant, system developer, software developer, and programmer, web developer, supervisors such as accounting, sales, BPO operations, or finance, and the real estate and property positions stepping out in the list. Call center agent, customer representative, or service assistant, nurse, and sales clerk positions consistently remain at the top of the list. In terms of job search trends, nurse, accountant, and civil engineer remain popular among job seekers. Dramatic shifts in the labor market also show an increase in job seekers looking for work from home or home-based part-time and freelance occupations rather than the traditional ones. It can also be noted that job seekers have been seeking occupations with lower level of qualifications, suggesting a surge in new entrants to the labor market. Examining the PSA reports, we are able to determine the top and bottom major industry groups according to employment growth during the pandemic. Wholesale and retail trade dominate the list, followed by agriculture. These industry groups had net employment gains of 1.783 million and 1.103 million respectively since 2019. The construction industry proved to be robust, coming in at third with 248,000 jobs generated during the pandemic. Well, this can be attributed to the government's Build, Build, Build program, which seeks to boost the economy by funding large-scale infrastructure projects all over the country. Our assessment of our key employment generators, or what we call as KEGs, as identified in the department's JobsFit 2022 report, show the industries that will stand to gain, lose, or remain uncertain amid this pandemic, as validated by recent labor force survey rounds. Industries that are seen to continue gaining include IT-BPM, which is seen to remain as our top employment generator as it offers the most flexibility to do work. Health and wellness, agribusiness, and construction, with the resumption of public works and key build infrastructure projects that will employ thousands of workers. Meanwhile, vulnerable and hard-hit sectors include hotel, restaurant, and tourism, which stands to be the biggest loser in this pandemic given the government restrictions. Transportation, given the strict government protocols on physical distancing and travel restrictions. The increase in demand for delivery services may help logistics, but we have yet to see whether its impact is significant. Banking and finance may also experience a slump because of the gloomy economic outlook that affects spending. Education may also be negatively affected because of the uncertainty of classes and distance education. As to wholesale and retail trade, it offers mixed signals considering that physical stores may be limited in operation, but online sellers may thrive in the new normal. Manufacturing may also be affected by some restrictions, especially for non-essential goods. Both the pandemic and the fourth industrial revolution, or the fire, heightened the volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity of the world of work. The pandemic has accelerated the adoption of new technologies that improve communication and interconnectivity and allowed large-scale and integrated automation of industrial processes, the double-tiered impact we made mention earlier, which have corresponding structural changes and trends in the labor market, including the rise of remote or hybrid work, the gig economy and digital careers, and the need for retooling and upskilling and lifelong learning. As defined by WeWork, the hybrid workplace model is a type of work environment that combines aspects of remote working and in-office working. In a typical hybrid workplace, some or all employees have the freedom to choose where and when they work, dividing their time between working from home and working from a central office. Given a shift in work dynamics due to the imposition of lockdown measures and strengthened health and safety protocols, many establishments since last year were forced to adopt a more flexible work setup and impose off-site monitoring arrangements. Telecommuting has emerged as a viable and safe alternative work mode in the new normal, a strategic workplace innovation that becomes a more crucial in maintaining productivity, shaping the future of work by a more frequent interaction with new technologies, and the integration of digitalization in economies so businesses may stay afloat. The gig economy grew due in part to the increased resilience on gig workers to home deliver necessities to consumers. Furthermore, the crisis has upended the traditional 9-to-5 working world and caused many blue and white-collar employees to pursue gig work for additional or even primary income during these unprecedented times. It also offered job flexibility and that is more appealing, potentially more necessary. So ito pong gig economy natin, mas kilala po siya sa tawag na, in other words, racket. In the Philippines, the vast majority of workers are engaged in informal work such platforms are regarded as a promising source of work opportunities. However, the opportunities are accompanied by some challenges. Like for workers, these relate in particular to regularity of work and income, working conditions, social protections, skill utilization, freedom of association, and the right to collective bargaining. Further, the fast transforming world of work, workers must prioritize developing their soft skills to keep up with the labor market's demands. While hard skills demonstrate as candidates' technical ability to fulfill job requirements, soft skills demonstrate a candidate's work ethic and character, including how well of a fit they are for the company's culture and goals. Workers and job seekers may continue to upskill and reskill and be armed with the relevant digital and 21st century skills in order to survive and remain competitive despite disruptions in the labor market. The World Economic Forum identifies top 10 job skills as essential for the future. These skills can be classified into four types: problem solving, self-management, working with people, and technology use and development. 5 of the top 10 are problem-solving skills, underscoring the importance of soft skills in the future of work. Similarly, LinkedIn in its fifth workplace learning report identified the most important skills of 2021, top 2 of which are labeled as power skills. First, we need to build our resilience muscle to help us adapt to the rapid fire change. Second, we needed to learn new ways of working and collaborating in a virtual world. Other identified skills such as resilience and adaptability, technology skills, digital fluency, communication across remote or distributed teams, emotional intelligence, cross-functional collaboration, leading through change management, dealing with stress, being more mindful, time management, and creativity underscore the importance of soft skills in the future of work. Workers and employers alike need to invest in human capital development to reskill and upskill both their technical and soft skills, ensure the Filipino workers thrive in the new normal. Given all this, we recognize the fundamental role that career guidance plays in COVID recovery and helping young people navigate turbulent labor markets. A recent publication from OECD, CDEFRO, European Commission, European Training Foundation, ILO, and UNESCO highlights the importance of investing in career guidance, including multiple delivery channels to help broaden young people's aspiration and reduce inequalities. The need for career guidance was intensified more than ever as economic and social balances were disrupted. New ways of working were introduced in the workplace, and the most vulnerable, including the youth, were the most affected by the pandemic. In the latest WAPES webinar or WAPES webinar, effective and responsive career guidance was given premium. Hence, their call for career guidance implementers to restore hope among the youth and the new labor market entrants so they may remain optimistic about their future, help them bounce back, and offer the needed psychosocial support. For further guidance, career planning, and decision-making, DOLE, through the Bureau of Local Employment, releases labor market information publications to update the public with reliable and relevant information on the realities of the labor market situation. These resources can help people or beneficiaries make informed plans and choices related to career planning and preparation, education and training, and job search. They are available through the Bureau's website, ble.dole.gov.ph. The career information pamphlets, or what we call as CIPs, are examples of the materials being produced by the Bureau. CIPs provide valuable information such as nature of work, basic educational requirements, skills and competencies, attributes, employment opportunities, and cost of education and training. To increase accessibility, the BLE has uploaded the career briefs online to careerinfo.ph. To expand the reach of the LMI or Labor Market Information Reports developed by the department, the Career Guidance Advocacy Program or SIGAP was developed to immerse parents and students on the realities of the labor market and convince career advocates to use career guidance as an effective tool in addressing job skills mismatch. The program is a collaboration among DOLE, SHED, TESDA, DepEd, PRC, DOST, and FCGAN-PR, the Federation of Career Guidance Network Advocates of the Philippines. The SIGAP advocacy plan's overall goal is to ensure that students, job seekers, and out-of-school youths, as well as parents, teachers, training and academic institutions, and employment services offices are provided with appropriate and timely knowledge on the realities of the labor market to address gaps and issues in workforce development. It involves the parents and the other immediate connections of the youth to hone their 21st century skills and empower them to make sound, informed career choices. Like SIGAP, the Philippine Qualifications Framework or PQF is also a collaborative program by the DepEd, TESDA, SHED, PRC, and DOLE. It is a quality assured national system for the development, recognition, and award of qualifications based on standards of knowledge, skills, and values acquired in different ways and methods by learners and workers of the country. Its implementation enhances workers' employability by ensuring their qualifications are relevant to social and economic needs. In addition, the framework supports the national and international mobility of Filipino workers, the adoption of the national standards, and the development and maintenance of qualification pathways and equivalencies allow learners and workers to move easily and readily between education and training sectors within their fields and the labor market. DOLE also serves as the co-lead in the Philippine Skills Framework or PSF initiative and co-chair of the PSF Council. The PSF initiative involves the development of sector-specific skills frameworks that will guide workers in enhancing their skills for particular job roles. Priority sectors include manufacturing, construction, health and wellness, logistics, creative industry, IT BPM, tourism, and food agriculture. DOLE also implements several employment facilitation services. We encourage everyone to please visit our nearest Public Employment Service Office or PESO and avail such services such as job search assistance, career coaching, trainings, referral, and others. You may also visit philjobnet.gov.ph for available employment opportunities. Please be informed that PhilJobNet is the Philippine government's official web-based labor market information, job search, matching, and referral portal. Lastly, I would like to share with you the National Employment Recovery Strategy or NERS, which is the Philippine government's master plan for the recovery of the pandemic-struck labor market, implemented by a 20-agency strong task force, constituted in February 5 with the signing of the NERS Joint Memorandum Circular, and institutionalized by the President on June 24, 2021, with the release of the Executive Order 1 4.0, it takes a whole of society approach in the development of a national strategy that addresses the social and economic issues arising from the lingering pandemic and the accelerated adoption of new technologies it has induced. DOLE co-chairs the Nurse Task Force alongside TESDA with DTI as its chair. The convergence of key programs of the nurse member agencies in the Nurse 8-Point Employment Recovery Agenda is expected to contribute at least 220,000 jobs and assist over 1.4 million Filipinos struggling with unemployment and income loss. Businesses and workers, at the core of its operational framework, aimed at restarting economic activities, restoring business confidence, upgrading and retooling the workforce, and facilitating labor market access in an enabling environment supported by good governance and infrastructure. The Nurse Task Force agencies implement various programs and services that creates training and upskilling opportunities for Filipino workers, with a focus on soft or life skills and the skills needed in the new normal, as well as technology-driven training available online through various open source and free platforms to empower the country's workforce and improve labor market outcomes. Arinya Talernsky, Managing Director of SEAC or Southeast Asia Lifelong Learning Center, said that this is a now or never situation, that we cannot wait until tomorrow to reskill and upskill. We are in the midst of a crisis, and the longer we put aside developing ourselves, the tougher it will be for us to deal with the current and future issues that the world throws at us. To thrive in the new normal requires evolving and adapting to the fast transforming world of work. We encourage job seekers and workers to take advantage of this opportunity to upskill and reskill and prepare yourselves for when our economy bounces back. DOLE's many programs and services, as well as those of the other Nurse Task Force member agencies, are at your disposal during these challenging times. Rest assured that the DOLE will continue to work with various government agencies and support initiatives such as the Task Group on Economic Recovery or the TIGER and the National Employment Recovery Strategy or the NERS Task Force towards the safe reopening of the economy and sustained improvement of our labor market. In closing, we underscore how accurate and timely labor market signals and the career guidance advocacy play a critical role in empowering job seekers and the youth to make sound and informed career choices and in addressing the widening job skills mismatch. Aligned with the NERS, the government's official jobs recovery plan, may we continue to work together to facilitate labor market access of our stakeholders and supplement the government's employment recovery efforts in response to the lingering pandemic. So with that po, maraming salamat at magandang araw sa ating lahat.